Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. I decided to work on this little floral bouquet painting that I showed you on my Facebook page a little while back. This video will be for the $5 and $10 subscribers. I wasn't going to do any videos for the month of December because it was so late in the month I didn't know if I'd get time, but I decided since this one was ready to go, I could just do the voiceover and add some music, and then you can enjoy it early. So this is really simple project. Anybody can do this. You just take your pink, whatever pink you want. I am using my Let's Make Art liquid watercolors, and they've got some really nice pinks. And then you just use a light wash to make your petals, and then you just drop in some darker color into the center and let it bleed out. And that is it. You make a petal and you drop in some water, make it real like a wash, and then you drop in some color into the center. You use quite a bit of water for the petals. You don't want a lot of pigment because you're just trying to see where your water is. It's kind of a wet on wet technique without using just plain water. I can't see where I put my water when I don't use some color. And you can use a really light wash, like a pale yellow, or just a little bit of color so you can see where you're at. And then once you get it put in, then you can drop in more color where you want it to be. I love bleeding and I love blooms, so I tend to play with that a lot, and with flowers it just makes it really easy. You can definitely add more to these little flowers. After it dries, you can come back and add some yellow in the middle. You can come in and use a pen and make just some little dots in the center so it looks like there's a little more activity going on. But I really wanted this to stay soft. And it's a 4-petal flower, which you don't see a lot of. Usually if it's a little cluster of petals, you might get 4. Usually it's an odd number. But the first one came out with 4 petals, and I thought, well, we're just going to stick with this. And this was inspired by a trip to the Arboretum over a year ago before the pandemic, and we could actually go places. And they had this bush with these tiny little petals. And I grew up in the desert. I do not know flora or fauna very well at all, especially floral. Trees, it's a pretty green tree. I don't know. I mean, I know an evergreen, kinda. I know maple because they turn colors, but otherwise I'm not real good at the whole, this is this flower, this is that flower. It's a pretty flower. So, and that actually gives me a lot of freedom because then I can make my flower look any way I want to. It doesn't have to have a certain amount of petals. It doesn't have to have a certain color center. It can have whatever it wants to. So that's what I went with. So I added a little bit of color back to the centers of some of the ones that had dried, smoothed out a few spots. I just wanted to make sure it was nice and set before I left the flowers to start working on the stems and the leaves. So now that I'm looking at this finished, I see I probably should have put in a few more leaves. Maybe I do at the end. It looks like I only have a couple in there. But you just use a dark green that you like. I really do like the lime yellow greens. I just prefer those. But a nice dark green would work just as well. And some people like to do their leaves a little bit different color than the stems. It doesn't really matter, whatever you're happy with. You just find a direction find an area that you want to come out of the flower, and just a simple thin downward stroke. I used a liner for this, and it was one of my first experiences using a liner in watercolor. I usually just use a small brush because I love small brushes after working with dot art. But a liner works so much nicer in getting these long stems, so highly recommend just a standard liner. I do not have a lot of really fancy equipment. In another video, I'll talk about all the different paints that I have and the paper that I use and the brushes that I use, which are all just basic stuff, not a lot of money spent on them. Because, when you start, you don't know if you're going to like it, and you don't want to invest a ton of money. If you haven't done this before and you have a watercolor palette from Crayola, that's your kids or something, just go try it. Just see if you like the medium. It is more fun when you have better products to use, for sure. And I have a very nice brush, a silver black velvet brush coming Monday, as well as 3 of the Daniel Smith, I think is what I ordered. 3 primary colors to play with, which are really nice paints. I'm very excited to try them out and see how different they are. So, looks like I did add more leaves in. Oh, good. I'm looking at this other photo, and there's not a lot of leaves. Not a lot of leaves. I was couldn't remember what I did. See, this is what happens when you edit separately from when you film. But anyway, I was really happy with this. Really, really happy. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. And you can make a bunch of these for cards or gifts, or if the sky's the limit, you can do so much with these little things. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.